Every year on the 11th of June, the local newspaper showed the obituary notice of Betsy Buckwitz. And every year, her daughter not only marked her mother's death, but she also called out the fact that her killer was still at large. Let's talk about it. Betsy lived a private life, in quiet luxury. She was divorced and she had 2 daughters with her ex-husband, Harry Buckwitz, the theater director of Frankfurt. She lived alone in a 2-bedroom apartment, surrounded by her antiques. And every Monday, she and one of her daughters, Sybil, talked on the phone. Every week, until Monday the 12th of June, 1989. After her mother didn't answer the phone, Sybil decided to drive to the 74-year-old's apartment to check on her. After her mother didn't answer to her knocking either, she called the police for a welfare check. They broke the door open, and at first, everything looked perfectly normal, until they entered the bedroom. Betsy was in her bed, but she looked anything but peaceful. Her long red nails were all broken off, and around her neck hung a tightly wound silk scarf and medical adhesive tape. The door to the garden stood open, and as the police later found out, jewelry worth more than $100,000 had been stolen, as well as ID papers, money, and 1 bank card. At first, the police couldn't find anything on the crime scene that would give them a hint of who had done it. The only clue they had was a piece of latex cloth that was stuck on the tape that had been around Betsy's neck. Forensics tried to get a fingerprint out of it but couldn't, so it got put into the evidence collection. And then, the case became cold. Her daughter, though, never gave up. Every week she went to the stores and markets selling antiques in the hope of finding her mother's jewelry, but she never did. The case seemed to be closed until it landed on the desk of one of Germany's best forensics in 2002. Harold Schneider. And he even found skin particles on the tape and the glove. But unfortunately, DNA testing was still in its infancy back then. But Harold told Sybil that he was sure that one day technology would be improved enough for them to figure out whose DNA was on the tape. And he was right. In 2008, Sybil posted the last obituary notice for her mom. It said the following: "She was murdered 19 years ago. Her killer is still out there and enjoying his life." Only 2 months later, detectives got a call from the forensic office of Harold. He had extracted the DNA, and the system found the match. The killer's name was Horst Joseph. He was a bus driver and father of 2 children. He lived only 15 kilometers away from Betsy's apartment. So why was his DNA in the system to begin with? Well, in 2005, he sexually assaulted a mentally challenged woman. He tied her up in her bed and even took photos of his act. When the police arrested him in his apartment, they found all of Betsy's missing jewelry. During his arrest, he kept quiet. And also during the police questioning. It wasn't until he was in court and in front of a judge that he finally opened his mouth. He claimed that as a bus driver, he constantly met older women. Betsy was one of them, and he claimed the 2 had an affair. The jewelry had been a gift, and his DNA was on the medical tape because he had used it days prior to fix her leaky sink. All the while, Sybil was also in the courtroom, and she was mortified by what this man claimed. As she later said, her mother had been done with men, and she was very careful about who she let into her apartment. Even close friends were often not allowed inside. The judge, of course, didn't believe Horst's lies. He was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison.